She took off her ring before the elevator. The night I knew something had tilted, I found Leela's ring in the sugar bowl. It was such a domestic hiding place that it felt like a joke I hadn't learned yet. The gold band lay half buried among the white grains, warm even without light, as if it remembered her skin and refused to cool down. When I fished it out, sugar clung to my fingers in crystals, the way doubt clings to a thought and sweetens it just enough to make you swallow. I set the ring on the counter and listened to our apartment, dishwasher murmuring, rain needling the window, the door to the spare room breathing with the draft. Leela's laughter floated from the hallway before she appeared, backpack slung, cheeks flushed with city wind. She kissed my chin, then my mouth, and it was the kiss of a woman who means it and also plans to be somewhere else in 10 minutes. "You're sticky," she said, laughing as she smoothed my hand. "What did you do, bathe in syrup?" "Closed," I said. "I found this." She followed my gaze to the gold band on the counter. The half-second it took her to speak stretched like candy pulled on a hook. "Oh," she said, "I took it off to knead dough." She gestured vaguely toward a loaf of bread she hadn't started. "I didn't want to gunk it up, forgot to put it back." It was not a great lie, but it was domesticated, and that's what scared me. I didn't accuse her. I didn't plan a speech. I said, "We should buy a dish for it," and dropped the ring back into her palm. Her fingers closed around it, glitter passing from our life to her fist like a secret moving toward a better storyteller. "Dinner?" she asked. "I ate," I lied because I was learning. Leela showered, humming something careless, and left again, dressed in a navy shift that loved her shoulders. She said it was a late strategy session, which is what you call a drink with a coworker when you work in branding and language, is a purse full of extra keys. I watched her walk down the hall and slip the ring into her jacket pocket instead of onto her hand. The elevator doors closed on the promise she hadn't made. At 10:30, I got a message from an unknown number, just an address, the Midtown Voss Hotel and a floor 12. A single line: "If you want the truth, watch the mirrors." No signature, no threat. The kind of text that assumes you have already decided to be someone else. I stared at the screen long enough for my reflection to ghost in the black. Then I put on a jacket, the black one that makes me look like I earn more than I do, and walked out into the rain. The Voss lobby is all velvet and intention. High ceilings, low lights, furniture that expects your spine to know the difference between leisure and surrender. I'm a freelance editor. Words are my rent money. But I've spent enough nights polishing sentences at hotel bars to recognize rituals. I moved through the room as if I belonged and took the elevator with a couple arguing sweetly about whether to split dessert. They got off at 11, kissing before the doors closed. I rode to 12 with my mouth unhelpfully dry. The corridor was a hush with good manners. I saw it immediately, a wall of antiqued mirrors facing the elevators, their glass freckled in a way that forgives faces. I turned my back to them and looked the other way, the way the message wanted. In the reflection, the hall turned into a theater. At 12:03, the elevator opened and delivered my wife. She wasn't alone. Leela stepped out with a man whose confidence had been tailored to his shoulders. Not a coworker I'd met. Not the shy planner with the cactus farm. This one knew how to keep his phone screen down and his hand light at the base of a woman's spine. He said something into her hair and she smiled with her mouth closed. At the mirror wall, she paused, not to check lipstick, not to fix a strap. She reached into her pocket, took out the ring, and slid it into a little silk pouch I recognized from our dresser. Then she touched her bare finger like a dare and walked with him down the hall. I leaned against the mirror, so hard the antique freckles felt like grit against my skull. "Sir," said a voice beside me, low, amused. I hadn't heard her arrive. She was in an emerald dress that made the hallway look like it had invented envy just to frame her. She wore her hair up in a way that invites hands and scolds them in the same breath. She held a glass of sparkling water and a phone with a blank chat open. "Before you break the decor," she said, "you should know the Voss charges extra for confessions." "Do you always flirt with men who are injury adjacent?" I asked, because I needed a voice that wasn't mine. "Only the ones who need triage," she said. "I'm Mara." "Nate." "Is that your wife?" she asked, rolling the glass so the bubbles clung to the rim. "The one who just tactically de-ringed?" "My wife," I said. It sounded like a word I was returning to a store without a receipt. Mara glanced down the corridor. "Suite 1208, she said. "Corner. Good light. You could camp outside the door like a ghost with tenure, or we could walk away for 10 minutes and decide if you're a person who knocks." "You sent the text," I said. Mara put a hand on her heart. "My lawyer has advised me to say I found you by psychic osmosis." She tipped her head toward the elevators. "Come on. Mirrored halls are for the rich and the brave. We're neither right now." We took the service stairs that smelled like lemons pretending to be disinfectant. Mara walked one step ahead, back straight, as if the building owed her less air than it was giving, and she intended to collect. On 11, she veered into a staff lounge lit with fluorescent modesty. A vending machine hummed next to a table with a game of chess half played. She picked up a pawn and set it down in front of me. "Here. What you'll do," she said. "You'll breathe, that part is important. Then you'll ask yourself if you want to catch her in the act or in the lie. They are different doors. One slams louder." "You know him?" I asked. She nodded, a tiny blade of motion. "He's very proud of his jawline. He's also engaged. Or he was until last week, when I realized I was doing the administrative work for my own erasure." "You're his fiancée, former," she said. "Call me a woman who hates paperwork but loves clarity." She took a sip, left lipstick like a deliberate note on the rim. "I sent you the text. The mirrored part was poetic but mostly practical." "Why me?" She looked at my hands. "You didn't smash the ring," she said. "Men who want revenge do something dramatic with symbols. Men who want truth touch sharp things carefully." "I kissed my wife goodbye an hour ago," I said. "Now I'm counting carpet patterns outside her room." "You could knock," Mara said. "You could crash in with the righteous and the wronged and turn them into museum pieces. Or you could decide, right now, that your future deserves an audience of one." I sat. The vending machine made a little sound like a throat clearing. "If I don't knock," I said slowly, "it will feel like cowardice." "Not always," she said, quieting a fraction. "Sometimes it's triage. Sometimes you don't drag your own heart through glass just to write a better caption." She set the glass down, close to my hand. Her fingers brushed mine because she let them. The contact was a spark without theater, more meaningful for being unadvertised. It took the shiver climbing my arm and converted it into breathing. "Who are you when you're not helpful?" I asked, because I wanted to know what her voice did when it wasn't saving people. "I design kitchens," she said, smiling. "Spaces that invite confessions without begging for them. I have opinions about islands and light and where to hide a toaster so it doesn't feel like a secret." "I edit cookbooks sometimes," I said. "We're a cliché." "A useful one," she said. In the silence, my body did what bodies do, filled in the missing floor with want. Not lust that breaks furniture. Something steadier. The warmth of a person sitting close enough that the air figures itself out. the illicit charge of an almost, the knowledge that if we both leaned 2 inches, her collarbone would be under my mouth, and I would learn how the emerald fabric felt against my wrist. She saw the direction of my thoughts because she was in them. Her mouth curved. "We are not doing that here," she said, gentle. "I know. But we can practice not lying to ourselves," she said, and her hand turned palm up, inviting. "For later, for whatever comes after this hallway." I took her hand. We didn't lace fingers. We rested the edges together, skin recognizing skin without making it a spectacle. After a while, she said, "Do you want to hear my favorite ugly truth?" "Sure." "Infidelity is not always a demolition," she said. "Sometimes it's a renovation that should have had permits and didn't. You can call the inspector and shut the site down. Or you can look at the layout and decide if you want to live there, even if the windows face a different street now." "I don't know if I can forgive," I said, "but I know I can't forget." I saw her put the ring away like it was chapstick. "That's the part that hurts," Mara said. "The casualness. The way the body rehearses the lie until it looks like a habit." She stood. "Let's give them 15 more minutes. If you want to knock at 12:30, I'll walk with you. If you want to go home and let your house tell you what kind of man you are, I'll call you a car and send you a playlist built for not drowning." "You're efficient." "I charge by the hour," she said, which made us both laugh, the kind of laugh that saves. We counted the minutes together in a language of glances and small jokes. At 12:29, I pictured Leela's hand on the silk pouch, the way her fingers probably learned to love the friction of that drawstring. At 12:30, I stood and realized the rage that had arrived hot had cooled into something heavier and more precise. "I don't want to knock," I said. "I want to hear her tell me a story and decide if I can live in it." Mara nodded like a teacher whose pupil had finally turned the page. "Then go home," she said. "Do not text her. Do not create a stage. Be the room." "What about you?" I asked. "What will you do?" She smiled without showing her teeth, which I had already learned meant honesty instead of charm. "I'm going to unsubscribe from a life that refused to send me receipts," she said, "and I'm going to sleep in the middle of my bed." We walked back to the mirrored hall. The corridor was quiet as a kept promise. I looked at 12:08 and felt the weight of a decision that would haunt me less than the alternative. The elevator doors opened on the lobby's soft spectacle. We stood by the revolving door where rain filmed the night in acceptable melancholy. For a second we leaned in the same direction without moving, the way dancers do when the music asks a question. Then she lifted her free hand and touched my jaw precisely. Not a caress that wants more. A mark of recognition. "This isn't our night," she said. "But it might be one of our sentences," I answered. Mara kissed me the way do kisses a glass, soft, cooling, present even after it's gone. Her lips lingered a fraction too long to be nothing and not long enough to be a confession. Any camera would have called it tastefully ambiguous. My breath misbehaved. "Go," she whispered. "Before you remember you're capable of bad decisions executed beautifully." I went. Leela wasn't home. The apartment kept its secrets like good furniture does, by being solid and quiet and exactly where you left it. I lay on the couch and stared at the ceiling until the ceiling gave me back the same look. At 3, the lock turned. Her steps paused in the hall. She came in carrying her shoes, the navy dress unrumpled, her hair not. She froze when she saw me awake. "Hey," she said, careful. "Hey," I said. "Couldn't sleep." "Couldn't pretend," I said, and the truth felt like stepping onto a floor I wasn't sure would hold. She put the shoes down like an apology. I need to say something, she said. It will be clumsy, and I will hate the sound of my own voice. Say it, I said. She sat across from me and chose not to reach for a pillow to hide behind. I respected that. I've been seeing someone, she said, not yet crying. It felt like a secret that made me real and then a lie that made me smaller. Tonight it felt like both at the same time, and my body didn't know which door to choose. I took my ring off because I wanted to belong to the moment. I put it in my pocket because I wanted to belong to you when it was over. Neither was fair, to you or to me. I had rehearsed this, but hearing it made the room tip. How long? A few weeks, she said. We told ourselves a story about chemistry and freedom. We used words like open and exploration like a couple on a brochure. But you weren't in the pictures, Nate. And when you're not in the pictures, you're not in the future. Do you love him? I said. No, she said, shaking her head. I loved the part of me that wasn't tired. I loved feeling like desire was a room with windows I hadn't opened in a while. She looked at me, and I recognized the woman I married, the one who tells the truth even when it's expensive. Do you hate me? I'm hurt, I said. Hate is for strangers. We talked until the horizon's first rumor of light. We didn't yell. We didn't tally. We did the arithmetic of tenderness in a language grown-ups borrow when they're out of metaphors. In the end, we agreed to pause us, to choose solitude over performance, to let silence measure what remains. She packed a bag without dramatics. At the door, she touched my cheek and said, "Thank you for not turning me into a story with villains." I could have told her I was already in one. Instead, I nodded. After she left, I showered until the steam made the mirror elderly. I dressed, ate toast that tasted like cardboard rehearse, and walked back into a city that loves nothing more than a person with something on his mind. At noon, I went to the Voss bar. I didn't expect Mara to be there. Fate is a lazy editor. It prefers coincidence to craft. She was nowhere. I almost left a note. You were right about the mirrors, but it felt like a trap for the future. I made it to the sidewalk before I saw her. Emerald blouse under a practical coat, hair down, eyes that forgave daylight for being less forgiving than lamps. She stopped when she saw me. That small shared surprise felt like the day's first warm thing. "Did you knock?" she asked. I listened, I said. Then I chose the room with one chair. A smile bloomed slow, and "I'm alone tonight," I said, "on purpose." "Me too," she said, "on purpose." We walked without destination until the conversation found a park with benches that didn't mind witnesses. We sat so close our sleeves touched. We didn't grab or claim or audition for the next disaster. We told each other the facts softer than they deserve. When I reached for her hand, she met me halfway, palm warm, grip sure. I leaned in and kissed her, and it was the kiss of two people who had chosen the moment rather than tripped into it. Unhurried, careful, honest. Her mouth tasted like mint and something floral, and my body answered without inventing a new language. We kept it gentle. We kept our coats on. We stopped before the cliff and admired the view like people with maps. "Not demolition," she murmured, forehead to mine. "Renovation, with permits this time." "With light," I said, "and a better place to put the ring dish." She laughed, soft, the kind of laugh that makes a future tilt a degree toward possible. The sun slid from behind a cloud like forgiveness, deciding it could be seen. We didn't plan the rest of our lives on that bench. We planned the next hour, coffee that would not taste like confession, a walk that would not pretend to be a cure, words we would say when our bodies suggested shortcuts. I texted Leela a message that thanked her for being brave and asked for time to decide how to be brave back. She hearted it and left it there, which felt right. As Mara and I stood, she adjusted my collar with ridiculous tenderness. By the way, she said, eyes bright, if you ever build a kitchen, put the toaster out. Let the heat be ordinary. I'll keep the mirrors, I said, but I won't hide behind them. And the ring, she asked, tilting her head. In a dish, I said, where it belongs, if it belongs at all. We crossed the street together, not holding hands yet, not needing to perform the shape of new. Behind us, the city rehearsed its 1,000 private dramas. In front of us, a cafe window fogged the way glass does when people are breathing close. I didn't know much, but I knew this. I would write my next chapter in the open, with light, with a mouth that told the truth and a body that learned how to want without lying. Inside, a bell chimed. Mara's palm brushed mine, and the contact was small and gentle and everything. I ordered 2 coffees, black, and she chose a pastry with a name that sounded like a secret that doesn't hurt. When our cups steamed between us, we clinked them like glasses, not for luck, but for permission. To rooms with windows, she said. To doors we knock on, I answered, only when they're ours.